There are women who walk this earth not just as ordinary daughters, sisters, or mothers, but as chosen vessels. They carry a divine shield around them that the enemy cannot penetrate. You may look at her and see just a woman, but in the spirit realm, she is a warrior. Evil plots are designed against her, but they fail. Weapons are formed, but they do not prosper. She is living proof that when God places his hand of protection upon someone, no darkness can undo what heaven has ordained. So today, I want to give you 7 undeniable signs that a woman is divinely protected by God from the forces of evil. There is a certain resilience within her that cannot be explained by human strength alone. She faces situations that should have crushed her, yet when the dust settles, she is still standing. The reason she doesn't break is because something greater than her own willpower is holding her together. She has faced the fire and the floods, but neither consumed her. She has learned that battles may bruise her, but they cannot destroy her, because she is sustained by a strength that comes from beyond herself. Every time the enemy thought he had her cornered, a way of escape appeared. It wasn't always visible at first, but somehow a path was carved out in the wilderness. Others may look at her and see only a fragile frame, but what they cannot see is the shield that surrounds her, the presence that keeps her intact when everything else seems to be falling apart. This protection is not something she boasts about, but it is evident in the way she continues to endure storms without collapsing. She knows pain. She knows betrayal. She knows disappointment. And yet, instead of being defined by those experiences, she carries them as proof of her survival. Every scar she bears is not a sign of defeat, but a testimony that she lived through moments that were designed to break her spirit. There are nights she cried in silence. Mornings she wondered if she had the strength to face another day, yet she rose up anyway. That rising is the evidence that she has divine backing. There are women who look unshaken because they've never gone through anything, but then there are women like her who look unshaken because they have survived everything. When the waves of life hit, they don't sweep her away. When the fire rages, it doesn't consume her. When the attacks come, they do not succeed. Her stability is not rooted in circumstance, but in the one who sustains her. And because of that, she doesn't collapse under pressure the way people expect her to. What others call breaking points, she calls building points. Every battle teaches her something new. Every hardship shapes her. Every test adds another layer of strength. The enemy may come back again and again, but each time she stands up stronger, wiser, and more unshakable. Her endurance confuses those who thought she would quit, and it reminds them that there is a supernatural force at work in her life. Even when she feels weak, she discovers that she is not alone. It is in her weakest moments that a hidden power rises within her. She has discovered that her strength is not measured by how loud she shouts or how forcefully she fights, but by how deeply she refuses to be moved. Her resilience is quiet, yet it shakes the very foundations of the plans meant to destroy her. She doesn't need to announce her strength. Her survival is her announcement. Every battle she faces seems to carry a hidden assignment: to pull her down, to silence her, to take away her hope. Yet each time, she emerges with something greater than she had before. What was meant to break her actually builds her. What was meant to destroy her character ends up revealing her integrity. What was meant to steal her joy becomes the soil where her joy grows deeper. That is why she doesn't break. She bends, but she doesn't snap. She shakes, but she doesn't shatter. People often wonder how she can smile when she's been through so much. They wonder how she can keep her head lifted when life has tried to bury her under grief, struggle, and disappointment. The truth is, she has tapped into a source that the world cannot see. She knows that battles are part of life, but breaking under them is not her portion. She knows that even if she is pressed on every side, she will not be crushed. Even if she is struck down, she will not be destroyed. Her journey is marked with trials, but those trials never leave her hopeless. They shape her into someone unshakable. The woman you see standing tall today is not the product of an easy road, but of countless battles fought in silence, countless tears wiped away, countless nights spent holding on to faith when everything else was falling apart. Yet here she is, still walking, still living, still fighting, still rising. The evidence that she is protected is not that she avoids battles, but that she survives them. It is not that she never falls, but that she never stays down. The very battles that should have left her in pieces instead reveal a strength that cannot be broken. Her story is not one of avoiding pain, but of outlasting it. And that is why she walks through battles without breaking. There are moments in her life when doors that seem promising suddenly close without warning. Opportunities she thought were meant for her vanish. Relationships she believed would last come to an end. And paths she expected to walk are blocked. At first, those closed doors may sting, leaving her questioning why things didn't work out the way she planned. But as time unfolds, she begins to see that the doors that shut were never meant to lead her to her destiny in the first place. When a door closes, it is not always a rejection. Sometimes it is redirection. The very door she thought would be her breakthrough might have led to a breakdown. The path she thought would bring her peace might have stolen her joy. The opportunity she believed was perfect could have trapped her in a place she was never meant to stay. She begins to understand that closed doors are not punishments, but protections designed to steer her away from what would have hindered her future. Every time one door closes, another is being prepared that aligns more closely with her purpose. She may not see it right away, but the delay is never denial. She learns to wait with patience, trusting that the same hand that closed the door is also the one holding the key to the next. That key will unlock something far greater, far more fulfilling, and far more aligned with who she was created to be. Closed doors become proof that she is not moving randomly, but under divine direction. At times, she knocks and the door doesn't budge. She pushes and nothing happens. She prays, yet the door remains sealed. Instead of wasting energy banging on something that won't open, she learns to step back and let it go. This doesn't mean she has failed. It means her path is being adjusted. It means her story is still unfolding in ways she cannot see. What seems like a setback is actually a setup for something better than she imagined. When the right door finally opens, it is clear why the others had to shut. Suddenly, she realizes that the timing, the alignment, the favor, and the peace all confirm that this was the door meant for her all along. She walks into opportunities she never applied for, connections she never expected, and blessings that come to her without striving. These are not just open doors. They are divine doors, designed specifically with her in mind. People around her may not understand why she didn't chase every opportunity or why she seemed to walk away when things didn't work out. What they don't realize is that she has learned to trust the shutting as much as the opening. She knows that not every good-looking door is a God-sent door. And because of that, she is not consumed with chasing what's not hers. She is content to wait until the right door swings wide open with undeniable clarity. The beauty of her journey is that better doors don't just open. They open at the perfect time. If they opened earlier, she might not have been ready. If they opened later, she might have missed her assignment. But the doors open when she is prepared to step into them, and when she does, everything seems to fall into place. What felt like painful rejections before now look like necessary redirections that shaped her path. Each closed door teaches her something. It teaches her to let go of control, to trust timing she can't see, and to value what is meant for her over what she thought she wanted. She learns to stop mourning the doors that closed and instead celebrate the ones that will open. This shift in perspective allows her to carry peace instead of frustration, hope instead of despair, and gratitude instead of regret. She no longer fights closed doors the way she once did. Instead, she has learned to say, if it closed, it wasn't mine. That mindset frees her from the burden of chasing what was never destined to be hers. She has come to understand that closed doors are not signs of weakness, but signs of protection, ensuring that her steps align with a greater plan. With this understanding, she carries herself with confidence, knowing that her future does not depend on forcing her way into the wrong place. And so, with every door that shuts, she grows in faith. With every door that opens, she walks more boldly. She knows that the journey is not about how many doors she can push open, but about walking through the ones that have been prepared for her. What once felt like endings now look like beginnings. What once felt like loss now looks like divine positioning. Through it all, she discovers that doors may shut, but better ones always open. There is something about her that cannot be explained by logic alone. While others may be deceived by appearances, she sees beyond the surface. She carries a discernment that feels almost supernatural, an inner knowing that warns her of dangers before they arrive and confirms opportunities before they unfold. People around her may dismiss her instincts, but time after time, her inner guidance proves to be right. It's not just intuition, it's protection, a gift that shields her from paths that could destroy her peace and draws her toward choices that preserve her destiny. When she steps into environments that are not aligned with her purpose, she feels it immediately. Something unsettles in her spirit, a quiet alarm that others cannot hear. While others may be impressed by outward beauty, wealth, or charm, she senses what lies beneath. Her discernment is not fooled by what glitters, because she understands that not everything that shines is gold. She recognizes that evil can disguise itself in opportunity, and danger can mask itself in flattery. Her gift allows her to walk away before the trap is sprung. There are moments when she cannot explain why she feels uneasy about a person, a place, or a decision. She doesn't always have the facts, but she trusts the stirring inside her. Later, when the truth is revealed, those around her realize she had been right all along. Her discernment is not rooted in fear, but in wisdom. It equips her to navigate life without falling into every pit or being ensnared by every distraction. It is not something she boasts about, but something she quietly relies on. This discernment is what allows her to preserve her energy and guard her heart. She does not allow just anyone into her inner circle, because she knows that not everyone has pure intentions. She does not confuse kindness with access, nor does she allow compliments to cloud her judgment. She discerns motives, she discerns spirits, and she discerns timing. This gift protects her from being manipulated, controlled, or deceived by those who seek to exploit her. Her discernment extends beyond danger into direction. When she faces choices that look equally good on the outside, she leans into that quiet inner guidance. It nudges her toward the path that carries purpose and away from the one that will drain her. People may wonder how she always seems to choose wisely, how she always seems to end up where she needs to be. The truth is that her discernment is guiding her steps long before others even recognize the options before them. This gift does not mean her life is without challenges. In fact, sometimes her discernment causes her to stand apart, to seem strange, or even misunderstood. Others may think she is being overly cautious, too careful, or even suspicious. But she has learned to trust what she feels over the opinions of those who cannot see what she sees. She would rather be misunderstood for a moment than regret ignoring the warning that was meant to save her from years of pain. In relationships, her discernment becomes a shield. She senses when someone's words don't match their intentions, when flattery masks manipulation, and when promises hide selfish agendas. While others might get swept up in charm or appearances, she listens for the inconsistency, she notices the details, and she pays attention to the red flags. This doesn't mean she is distrustful of everyone. It means she is careful with her trust because she understands the value of her heart. In seasons of waiting, her discernment teaches her patience. She knows not every opportunity that comes is meant to be seized immediately. Sometimes the right thing at the wrong time is still the wrong thing. While others rush ahead in excitement, she pauses, listens, and waits for confirmation. Her discernment allows her to avoid unnecessary detours, delays, and disappointments that come from acting too quickly without clarity. People often come to her for advice without realizing why. Something in them recognizes that she carries wisdom that isn't common. They sense that she can see what they overlook, and her words carry weight because they are rooted in a deeper understanding. She doesn't need to shout or prove herself. Her discernment speaks louder than explanations. It creates a presence around her that draws some in and warns others away. Ultimately, this gift shapes how she carries herself in the world. She is not moved by flattery, pressured by trends, or fooled by appearances. She knows that discernment is one of her greatest protections, guarding her from hidden dangers and guiding her toward hidden blessings. Though others cannot explain it, they cannot deny that she sees with a clarity that goes beyond her natural eyes, a clarity that preserves her path and strengthens her walk. There comes a time when she realizes that no matter how many enemies rise against her, they cannot derail what has already been ordained for her. People may plot, scheme, and conspire to see her fail, but they find themselves frustrated because her destiny is not in their hands. Her steps are ordered, her path is covered, and her assignment is sealed long before opposition ever shows up. What is meant for her cannot be stolen, delayed, or destroyed by those who seek to bring her down. This assurance gives her a boldness to walk forward, even when surrounded by resistance. She has faced moments when people spoke lies about her, when rumors tried to tarnish her reputation, and when betrayal came from places she least expected. Yet, somehow, those very attacks became the fuel that pushed her deeper into her purpose. Her enemies thought they were burying her, but they were actually planting her in fertile ground. What was designed to break her only made her stronger. Her destiny has a shield around it that enemies cannot penetrate, no matter how hard they try. At times, it seems her enemies are winning. They might hold positions of power, they might have louder voices, or they might have more influence in the moment. But what they don't realize is that their power is temporary while her destiny is eternal. Their attacks are short-lived, but her calling is permanent. Every weapon formed against her loses its strength the moment it comes against her purpose. She may feel the pressure, but she cannot be defeated because her future does not belong to them. When enemies rise up, they often reveal who they are through jealousy and envy. They see her light. They see her potential, and they recognize something on her life that they cannot control. Instead of celebrating her, they resist her. Instead of supporting her, they oppose her. Yet all their efforts only confirm the greatness that is upon her life. The very fact that enemies feel the need to come against her is evidence that her destiny is too powerful to be ignored. She has learned to stop wasting her time fighting battles that don't matter. Instead of exhausting herself trying to prove people wrong, she stands still and lets time reveal the truth. Her enemies may think they are ahead in the moment, but eventually their plans crumble, while her path keeps unfolding. She doesn't need to seek revenge or retaliate, because she understands that no one can stop what has been written for her life. Her enemies can slow themselves down with hate, but they cannot stop her forward motion. There are times when enemies attack not with open hostility, but with subtle sabotage. They try to discourage her, plant seeds of doubt, or limit her opportunities. Yet, even when doors close by the hands of people, bigger doors open that no enemy can touch. What they try to keep from her ends up being redirected towards something greater. She doesn't lose when enemies try to block her. She simply reroutes toward a destiny they have no control over. Her enemies often underestimate the strength she carries. They assume that one setback will silence her, one betrayal will stop her, or one failure will cause her to quit. What they don't realize is that she is anchored in something much deeper than their opinions or actions. Every time they push against her, she rises higher. Every attack only strengthens her resilience. Her enemies cannot comprehend how she continues to move forward when everything they tried should have destroyed her. The attempts of her enemies become part of her testimony. She can look back and say that what they meant for harm turned out to be for her good. Every lie, every scheme, every trap prepared for her became a stepping stone toward greater strength and wisdom. Her destiny is not weakened by enemies. It is sharpened by them. Without realizing it, they are shaping her into someone stronger, wiser, and more prepared for the places she is being led. Even in the presence of enemies, she thrives. While they are busy plotting against her, she is walking into blessings they cannot explain. She is elevated in rooms they cannot enter, chosen for opportunities they cannot block, and sustained by favor they cannot understand. This leaves them frustrated, because no matter how hard they try, they cannot stop her rise. She is living proof that enemies are powerless against destiny. Her confidence does not come from the absence of enemies, but from the assurance that their power is limited. She knows she will face opposition, but she also knows that her future is untouchable. The presence of enemies only highlights the protection around her destiny. They can talk, they can scheme, they can even gather together against her, but none of it changes the outcome. Her enemies cannot touch what is already secured, and her destiny continues to unfold, untouched and unstoppable. There is something unexplainable about the way she walks into storms with a calm spirit, while others around her panic. Chaos can be swirling, voices can be rising, and situations can look impossible, yet she carries a quiet strength that does not match what she is facing. This peace is not tied to the circumstances in front of her, but to the presence she carries within. It is not the absence of struggle that gives her peace, but the assurance that she is not walking alone. That stillness in her spirit confuses people who cannot understand how she remains so steady when everything looks unstable. She has endured seasons when everything around her was falling apart, yet somehow she kept her balance. Bills stacked high, relationships tested, health uncertain, opportunities delayed. Still, She walked with a sense of rest that could not be shaken. This peace is not the result of denial or ignorance. It is the result of trust. She has learned that panic does not change outcomes, but peace keeps her anchored until change arrives, even when the storms lasted longer than she expected. Her soul stayed calm because her faith was greater than her fear. Others may try to figure her out, wondering if she is pretending, if she is ignoring reality, or if she has simply grown numb to the pressure. But her peace is not manufactured, it is divine. It is the kind of peace that comes when she has handed over battles that were never hers to fight in the first place. She refuses to carry what was meant to be lifted off her shoulders. And that release gives her a serenity that looks impossible to those still carrying their own weight. This peace also gives her clarity. While others make rushed decisions under pressure, she can wait with patience. While others compromise out of fear, she can stand firm with wisdom. The calm she carries allows her to hear what others miss in the noise. She does not move based on panic or pressure. She moves only when there is direction. And because she carries peace, she rarely misses her step. It is this unshakable calm that positions her in the right places at the right time. There were moments when she should have lost her mind. Nights when tears wouldn't stop flowing, days when burdens felt unbearable, seasons when loneliness tried to consume her. But in those moments, a quiet stillness filled her heart, holding her together when everything around her was crumbling. This inner peace became her protection, shielding her from the kind of breakdowns that could have left her stuck. It gave her the strength to get up in the morning, to keep going when others quit, and to smile when her heart was heavy. Her peace is not loud, it does not demand attention. It is subtle but powerful. People feel it when they sit near her, when they talk to her, when they watch her handle challenges with grace. That calm becomes contagious, giving hope to those who are restless. She doesn't even have to say much, because the stability she carries speaks louder than words. Her peace becomes a testimony that stability is possible even in unstable conditions. Enemies try to disturb her peace, knowing that if they can't touch her destiny, they will try to shake her spirit. They spread lies, throw distractions, and stir confusion. But no matter how much noise they create, she does not lose her grounding. She may feel the sting of their actions, but she does not lose her center. The peace she carries cannot be stolen by external chaos, because it is rooted in something deeper than circumstances. This peace also becomes her defense. Instead of reacting with anger, she responds with calm. Instead of panicking under attack, she chooses composure. Instead of letting fear control her, she remains unbothered. This response disarms her enemies, confuses her critics, and frustrates those who expect her to fall apart. They cannot understand how she remains so unshaken, because they do not realize that her peace is not natural. It is supernatural. Her peace allows her to rest even while waiting. She does not pace back and forth, worrying about what is next, nor does she lose sleep over what she cannot control. She can rest because she knows what belongs to her will come in its time. This kind of rest does not mean passivity, but trust. It means she works hard, but she does not carry anxiety about the results. She moves forward, but she does not rush the process. Her peace teaches her that everything has its appointed season. This peace that does not make sense is what sustains her through the hardest battles. It carries her when her strength runs out. It steadies her when fear tries to creep in, and it quiets her spirit when the noise around her gets too loud. It is the secret that keeps her strong in weakness, calm in chaos, and steady in uncertainty. Even when she cannot explain it, she lives it, And that peace becomes a shield that guards her through every trial she faces. She can walk into a room where no one knows her name, yet the atmosphere begins to shift in her direction. Doors that seemed locked for others swing open for her, not because she forced them, but because favor is drawn to her presence. It is as if unseen hands move pieces into alignment on her behalf, arranging opportunities, positioning connections, and making ways that she could never have orchestrated on her own. This favor is not the result of influence, status, or wealth. It flows from a higher source that chooses to honor her steps, even in hidden places. In places where rejection should have been her portion, acceptance finds her. People who had no reason to notice her suddenly extend kindness, support, or resources. She walks into unfamiliar territory, and instead of being overlooked, she is chosen. Instead of being ignored, she is remembered. Favor has a way of pulling her name into rooms she has never entered, placing her in conversations she didn't initiate, and opening opportunities she didn't even apply for. The unlikely places become stages for unlikely blessings. Even in wilderness seasons, favor finds her. When resources look scarce, provision shows up. When doors close in one direction, unexpected paths open in another. Where others complain of lack, she encounters abundance. Where others see dryness, she finds streams. Her journey proves that favor is not limited to environments of comfort or ease. It shows up even in the most difficult, forgotten, and overlooked places. The very spaces that seemed barren become fertile ground for blessings to spring forth. People around her may try to explain it away as coincidence or luck, but she knows better. She recognizes that favor cannot be earned through effort alone. It is not tied to human approval, because even when people refuse to support her, opportunities still chase her down. It is not tied to position, because even without titles, she is entrusted with influence. Favor is not logical, which is why it often appears in the least expected ways and places. She has seen it in her career, where doors of promotion opened in seasons she thought were stagnant. She has seen it in relationships, where people who had no obligation to help suddenly became advocates for her growth. She has seen it in her finances, where unexpected provision came just when she needed it most. The pattern is undeniable. Favor follows her, and it often finds her when she least expects it, in places where it should not even exist. What others toil and fight to gain, she often receives without striving. That does not mean she does not work hard, but it means her effort is multiplied by divine timing and divine positioning. While others may have the same skills or resources, something about her presence draws open doors that remain closed for others. This does not breed arrogance in her, but gratitude. She knows that without this favor, her own strength would not be enough to carry her into the places she has entered. Favor also protects her reputation. Even when others try to discredit her, somehow the right people still see her value. Even when lies are spoken against her, the truth rises to the surface in ways she could never have defended herself. When enemies plot her downfall, favor redirects her steps into greater opportunities. The very traps that were set for her defeat become stages where she is elevated. Favor works behind the scenes, ensuring her destiny is untouched by the schemes of others. Sometimes the favor looks like small acts of kindness. A stranger offering help at the right time, a friend showing up with unexpected encouragement, a connection that leads to breakthrough. Other times, it looks like massive doors opening, opportunities that alter the course of her journey, blessings that shift her entire season, miracles that rewrite her story. Whether big or small, the consistency is the same. Favor has a way of finding her, even when she is not searching for it. Her life becomes a testimony that favor does not always come from the places you expect. It may not come from family, friends, or familiar circles. Instead, it shows up in strangers, in unexpected moments, in hidden places that no one thought to look. She learns not to despise the small or strange opportunities, because often those are the very channels where favor flows. She embraces the unusual, knowing that unlikely places often hold the most extraordinary blessings. The more favor finds her, the more she understands it is not just for her benefit. It positions her to be a blessing to others. The resources, platforms, and opportunities given to her become tools to uplift, encourage, and empower those around her. She recognizes that favor is a responsibility as much as it is a gift. And because she carries it with humility, the favor continues to flow, finding her again and again in the most unexpected places. Response 1: every time life knocks her down, something deep within refuses to let her stay there. The weight of disappointment may press heavy, the sting of betrayal may linger, and the pain of loss may threaten to crush her spirit. Yet she always finds a way to rise again. Each fall could have been the end of her story, but instead, it becomes the beginning of a new chapter. What was designed to break her only strengthens the fire within, because her resilience is not built on circumstances, but on something far greater that cannot be shaken. She does not rise quickly every time, but she always rises. Sometimes the process takes tears, silence, and lonely nights. Sometimes it takes prayer that feels unanswered or strength that feels too far out of reach. Yet even in those moments, she is gathering herself, piece by piece, preparing to stand again. The fall may bruise her, but it does not define her. Her ability to get back up is proof that the power sustaining her is stronger than the force that pushed her down. With each fall, she learns lessons that standing never taught her. Failure becomes her teacher, rejection becomes her redirection, and brokenness becomes the soil where new growth takes root. Instead of fearing the fall, she begins to embrace it as part of the journey. What others see as defeat, she sees as training. What others call a setback, she recognizes as preparation. Every fall shapes her into someone wiser, stronger, and more unshakable than before. Her enemies may rejoice when she stumbles, believing they have seen the last of her, but they underestimate the resilience woven into her spirit. They may try to bury her under criticism, lies, or hardship, yet she rises out of the ashes with greater determination. The very things meant to bury her only end up planting her deeper, like a seed that must go into the ground before it can rise and flourish. She cannot be destroyed because her foundation is too secure to be shaken permanently. She rises not because it is easy, but because she refuses to stay bound to defeat. Pain may linger, but it never paralyzes her. Fear may whisper, but it never controls her. Doubt may knock, but it never settles in her heart. Rising is not just something she does. It is who she is. It is her identity, her rhythm, her declaration to the world that nothing has the power to hold her down for long. Every rise leaves behind a testimony. Each scar tells a story of survival. Each healed wound becomes proof of endurance. And each comeback shouts louder than any failure. She does not hide her falls, because they highlight the strength of her rises. She understands that her journey is not about perfection, but about perseverance. The beauty of her life is not in never falling, but in never allowing a fall to become her final state. The rises also build her influence. Others watch her fall and assume she is finished, but then they witness her rising again, stronger than before. Her resilience becomes an inspiration, her endurance a source of hope. People around her begin to realize that if she can rise after what she has faced, then they too can find the strength to stand again. Her rising is not only personal, it becomes a light for others navigating their own dark seasons. She rises with a quiet confidence that comes only from experience. She no longer fears failure because she knows recovery is always possible. She no longer dreads setbacks because she knows comebacks are always stronger. She does not waste energy fighting the inevitability of hard seasons. Instead, she prepares herself to rise from them. Each time she gets up, her faith grows deeper. Her perspective grows clearer, and her courage grows greater. What once would have broken her no longer has the same power. Falls that used to take years to recover from now only take moments. Wounds that once left her doubting her worth now only remind her of her strength. She no longer questions if she will rise. She knows she will. The only question is how much stronger, wiser, and more radiant she will be when she does. The cycle of falling and rising has built a resilience in her that cannot be stolen. The very act of rising becomes her declaration to the world. She may not shout it, but every time she stands again, she announces that she is unshaken, unbroken, and unstoppable. No matter how many times she is pushed down, her rising proves that her story is not over. Every fall is just a pause, every setback just a redirection, every wound just a mark of her survival. And with each rise, she proves again and again that nothing can keep her from moving forward. Do you want me to now create a full compiled speech combining all 7 key points with a strong introduction and closing in that same style? I prefer this response, ChatGPT response. To every fall she experiences is not the end, but the beginning of a greater rise. Life has knocked her down more than once, leaving scars, broken pieces, and moments where it seemed like she would never recover. Yet somehow, in the midst of the pain and the weight of defeat, strength is reborn within her. Each time she is pushed to the ground, something deep within refuses to let her stay there. Her story becomes one of resilience, where failure is not final and setbacks are simply setups for something greater ahead. When she falls, she feels the heaviness of disappointment, but she never lets it define her. She allows herself to feel the pain, the frustration, and the loss, but she does not build her home there. Instead, she uses the ground as the very platform to push herself back up. The same place of her collapse becomes the place where she gathers new strength. It is in those low moments that her faith grows sharper, her vision becomes clearer, and her resolve is tested in fire. She rises not because she has no wounds, but because she chooses to move forward in spite of them. Her enemies may celebrate too quickly when they see her fall. They assume that one failure will end her journey, that one stumble will erase her destiny. But they underestimate the depth of her resilience. She may be down for a season, but she does not remain buried in defeat. Instead, she returns stronger than before, carrying lessons that can only be learned in the valley. What was meant to destroy her becomes the very fuel that propels her higher. She shows through her life that every fall is temporary, but every rise is permanent. Even when she falls publicly, when the whole world sees her weakness and mistakes, she does not allow shame to paralyze her. She understands that everyone stumbles, everyone faces seasons of brokenness, but not everyone chooses to rise again. Her courage is not in never falling. It is in never staying down. She carries a quiet confidence that whispers, "This is not where my story ends." Her comeback becomes louder than her fall, and her strength becomes a testimony for others who are watching in silence. She also learns that rising after every fall requires humility. She does not rise by pretending nothing happened or by ignoring her mistakes. She rises by acknowledging them, by learning from them, and by allowing the brokenness to shape her into someone wiser and stronger. Each fall chisels away pride, teaching her dependence on something greater than herself. It humbles her, but it also sharpens her character, making her rise not only stronger, but also deeper. Her rise after every fall also inspires others who feel stuck in their own failures. They look at her life and realize that falling is not the end of the road. They see her scars, but also her strength, and they understand that healing is possible. She becomes a living reminder that defeat is never permanent if you refuse to give it power. Her story breathes hope into the hopeless, showing that no matter how far someone has fallen, rising again is always within reach. The process of rising is not always quick or easy. Sometimes she must crawl before she can stand, and sometimes she must walk before she can run. But she never despises the small steps. Each one brings her closer to restoration, closer to her full strength, closer to the destiny waiting beyond the fall. Patience becomes her ally, and persistence becomes her weapon. She rises slowly, steadily, but surely until her fall is nothing more than a stepping stone in her journey. She also discovers that every rise leaves her with a new layer of resilience. The next time life tries to push her down, it does not break her as easily. She has already learned how to get up, and she knows she will do it again if necessary. Every time she rises, her foundation grows stronger, her spirit tougher, and her faith more unshakable. She becomes someone that storms cannot intimidate, because she has proven to herself that she can withstand even the fiercest winds. Each rise redefines her story. Instead of being remembered for her falls, she becomes remembered for her comebacks. People may recall her failures, but they will always be overshadowed by her resilience. She becomes known as the one who would not quit, the one who could not be crushed, the one who refused to let defeat have the final word. Her legacy is built not on perfection, but on perseverance. And in the end, her rise after every fall is not just about survival. It is about transformation. She does not rise back to the same place she was before. She rises higher, wiser, stronger, and more prepared for what lies ahead. Every fall becomes a classroom, every scar a teacher, every failure a seed that produces a greater harvest. She proves with her life that rising after every fall is not just possible. It is inevitable for the one who refuses to give up. Do you also want me to expand the introduction and closing words of the speech in the same long and powerful paragraph style, just like I've done for the key points? So when you see a woman walking through battles with unshakable faith, when you see her standing tall after storms that should have broken her, when you see her walking with peace and favor that makes no sense, understand this. She is not unprotected, she is divinely shielded. Evil may try, but it cannot win. She is proof that when God says, "This one is mine," no force in hell can take her down.